My Move the Chains audience, we are back and lively with a new edition of this Move the Chains podcast. Hope we're doing well tonight. Not as good as my Attitude Era t-shirt. Woo! I'm feeling good tonight. Not as good as I was last night. Bengals, Chargers, back and forth between two funky franchises historically. One's been cheap. The other's been cheap. One was cheap for a long time in the Chargers. They finally put the big boy pants on and got an elite coach. The Bengals, we don't know what to do. They got talent, but they're not winning these games. I'll touch on that in a second. What a gutty performance by Justin Herbert last night. Joe Burrow's putting on a performance, putting on a clinic. I marvel at him, man. And I got to touch on Packers-Bears yesterday. And the correlation for me when it comes to these teams that can't get over the hump, and just what's going on there in Chicago. So, start last night, Bengals, Chargers. That game was it had all the elements of a great football game. Dominant first up by the Chargers. Then the Bengals come storming back. And then it was ping pong, back, forth. And then near the end, the Chargers won. So, excuse me. Chargers won last night. And that first half, I sat there going, whoa. Justin Herbert looked like a freak show last night. And he is. 6'6", 240, power arm, you name it. He's got everything you want in the toolbox. And I finally am glad he's got Jim Harbaugh. And, what do you know? I look up this morning. Who's going to the playoffs this year? The Chargers. And are we shocked at all? This isn't this isn't a shocking story. We knew this. I knew this going into the season. You give any team in this league Jim Harbaugh, they're a playoff team. Now, it had its select few. Now, if he would have taken the Bear job, could that have been a playoff? I hardly doubt it, but I don't think it'd be as bad as they were yesterday. And I'll touch on the Bears in a little bit. Because it's like I'm laughing inside, but I feel for Bear fans today. I just do. But back to the Chargers, that game last night, and I've been seeing this for 17 years of my life. They would have lost that game last night, Chargers. In any era, with Dan Fouts, with Philip Rivers, with Herbert sometimes, but not last night because it's different this time. And it's not chargering. I know that's a term, but this team, to me, as long as you got that quarterback and that coach, you're going to be dominant. And I heard a take tonight that I found fascinating with the Chargers. Because they're a pretty good football team. But this is the weakest team I think I've seen the Chargers look, a hardball-led team. Now, you got to go back to maybe San Francisco or maybe Michigan early on that first year 10 years ago. Maybe. Because he puts a staple on shit, and then he goes, okay, let me run it my way, and let's go. And last night, you saw a blueprint of a hardball team. Resilient, tough, smart, dependable, resourceful. All those things came to fruition last night. Because, to me, the Chargers could have thrown in the towel. They were up 27-6, and then Bengals come storming back, and the Chargers do some dumb shit on special teams, and you're sitting there going, uh-oh, here we go. Chargers, here we go. Nope. Not this time. Because you got this stud quarterback and that coach. And I got to tell you, I think they're going to have an offseason. Now, they make the playoffs, they're going to have a lower draft pick down in the first round. But you got a lot of leeway now. Go get some more weapons on the perimeter for Justin Herbert. You have Ladd McConkey, who I love out of Georgia. And you got some tight ends that I like. Will Disley, who's kind of bounced around, but he's finally found a spot with the Chargers. Hayden Hurst's a good player, bounced around the league a long time. Ravens, South Carolina kid. So you got some pieces there with the Chargers in your offensive line. This is a Harbaugh-led team. I was thinking about this today, driving to work and in the gym tonight, coming home and there, is that I believe that when Harbaugh says I want all linemen or weapons, he means it. And listen, they had a lot of shit for not taking Brian Thomas Jr. Now, would I have? Yeah. But you need trench play. That's what matters in this league. You can't be an all-Madden team like the Bears, and I'll get to them in a second. But to me, the Chargers right now, they're elite, man, and they ain't going nowhere. And Kansas City, I'm not trying to pick on you. Okay? You got a competitor now in that division. Now, if Denver gets hot and you got, now you got something. Now you got to do something. I'm talking to you, Raiders. You better get a elite coach. Because you're up against the wall with the quarterback deficiency and now a coach deficiency in that division. But great win for the Chargers last night. Phenomenal job. I'm blown away. And I knew this coming. I've said for years Stafford and early on Detroit and Herbert were very similar. Lots of numbers, lots of stats, but where's the wins? And last night you finally saw, put a really good coach with Justin Herbert, like a Jim Harbaugh, and he'll get the best out of him. And he's raised his level, not just to here, but up there top. And he's done a phenomenal job. And I think the Chargers end up winning a playoff game, maybe one and lose, but crazier shit has happened. On the flip side of the Bengals last night, this is gut wrench. And, I wouldn't classify, I heard a quote today from Coward, and I have it, I'm looking at it right now. Bad franchises finds ways to lose games they should win. And I was thinking today about the Bengals. Historically, yeah. But I kind of feel like this is who they are. A lot of talent, but just can't get over that hump. Now, they did go to the Super Bowl a few years ago with Joe Burrow, Macaulay Culkin, doppelganger. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. But I just can't fault Joe Burrow. Like, this is amazing. What he's doing and what Jamar Chase is doing. And shout out to Jamar Chase, because you got me 23 fan points last night. Love you, bro. But it's just a shame. And I think Zach Taylor's done. He's not a great coach. And you're starting to see the fruition of what's happening. He's allowing this shit to happen. They're not a physical football team. I mentioned this countless times to my dad and my brother in the living room last night. They're not a physical football team. They're finesse as shit. They don't want to run the ball. I mean, they ran the ball decent last night, and then they got away from it. I heard Collinsworth say, well, when you get them in shotgun and you get them, all that. Okay, but you got to open it up a little. Run the ball. You're running the ball against the Chargers. You're eating your quarterback up alive. I didn't understand that. So, again, I just feel like with this Bengal team, it's infuriating. Because they are fun to watch. And they have some defensive players that are good. Trey Hendrickson and Pratt and these guys. But they're not responding to their coach. If that job opens up tomorrow, hey, Sam Akhtar, you want to go coach the Bengals? Yep, I'm in. I'm in. I got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And some defense. Yeah. Okay. So, the Bengals, to me, and I said this at the top, they remind me of the Chargers before. They've been really cheap with coaches, so you have to go all in. Mike Brown has always been cheap at coach. You have to go all in now. Bill Belichick, somebody. Now, if Dayball's available, could you go take that job? I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate it one bit. I think Brian Daboll, to me, was in a similar spot in Buffalo where, yeah, they care about football, but it's a little bit... It's in New York, I get it. But it's like kind of that smaller type of New York where I don't think the media pressure's as big. It's like a Green Bay, kind of like a Carolina where the media's kind of nice. And not as scathing, not as intense, not as that. And I think Daboll, if the Giants decide let's move on, then I would go with Daboll. If I'm the Bengals, because you need an elite guy, and he's had success with quarterbacks. Josh Allen. Daniel Jones got the most out of him. And you get this kid. And I think it could be really good. And Brian Daboll, the Giants play with toughness. The Bengals need it. But yeah, I mean, the Bengals, their season's over. It's a shame. But too little, too late. I mean, they've had a lot of selfishness with Jamar Chase going off. And you're kind of seeing it last night after the game, with the comments of, I'm not the coach. Okay. So this is why, again, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And Zach Taylor's allowing it to happen. They're not a physical football team. You can hit them in the mouth. And they do have mental toughness where they come back and they're resilient. But they don't have that closing touch to close games out. So, recap on that game. Great duel last night. Could see these teams in the playoffs, but highly unlikely. Great game last night. All the way to the wire. And ultimately won the game by the Chargers. Okay. Oh, the Chicago Bears. Yeah, Bears. Oh, brother. Oh. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be candid today because I got a lot of shit to say. Why does Matt Eberflus still have a job this morning? I need to know. Hey, George McCaskey, fire him today. Fire him today. Because, again, bad franchises finds ways to lose games. Chicago, you had that game yesterday. In Soldier Field. In your house. And once again, I didn't for a second thought in my head going, Green Bay's going to lose this game. I didn't think that one bit. Because the Bears have done this my whole life. They slip on the banana peel. They're like what the Lions were before they got good right now. A lot of games, but just lose them when they should win. And listen, I've been critical of Caleb. You guys know that. God's my witness. But I can't yesterday. He played good football yesterday. Now, it took some sacks, but played decisive football. Got the ball out. I do think Shane Waldron was the problem. He did have a shaky reputation coming to Chicago because of he never had a rookie quarterback. Now, he coached Jared Goff. Well, Goff had been in the league a long time when Shane Waldron got to L.A. And then he got to Seattle. So it just wasn't a good marriage to work to begin with. And listen, the Bears, if this job opens, and again, it's only attractive because of Caleb and the potential it could be. I still wouldn't take it if I'm a coach because you're going to be in a media where they're scathing, coming down at you. And I've heard some reports about Lincoln Riley. No. I mentioned last week that is the worst thing you could ever do. Why would he go to Chicago? He's afraid of LA media and scared of them. Whoo! Okay. You go to Chicago. That is about as scolding, hot seat you're going to get into. So, listen. The Bears got issues. And listen, Caleb, they're setting him up to fail. I think these coordinators are trying to fit, what's the saying? Square hole in a round peg. You got to let Caleb be a playmaker a little bit. I'm not saying he's never going to be in the pocket, that kind of guy. You got to get him on the move a little bit. Get him some easy completions. Get some layups first, and then let him go. And I will say they ran the ball well yesterday. But Green Bay, they're just a well-run organization. This is what they do. And Jordan Love, I'll say this about the Packers. He's a crazy player. And I like Jordan Love a lot. I like a lot about him. Excuse me. But he's going to drive you nuts. And he drove me nuts yesterday. Because there's just picks I watch him throw. I'm like, what are you doing? But he's very Favre, where it's a lot of ups and downs. But I do think Green Bay, unlike Rodgers, he can carry a team on his back. Now, Jordan Love can do that, I think. Obviously there were times last year. But he's helped by run game, and that's okay. But I saw him outdo Mahomes, and he's got that potential. And Green Bay, to me, is still a playoff team. There's going to be 3 teams in the playoffs from this division. It's going to be Minnesota. It's going to be Detroit, obviously. They're killing everybody. And this is not a real overreaction. They're in the Super Bowl. Okay? And then it's the Packers. So it's 3 teams in the North. Bears are already out. Now, if they won lately and then, kind of split it between the matchups in the division, maybe. But this Bear thing, man, it's the 10-year anniversary of when Aaron Rodgers put up 42 on you at halftime. You got beat by Brady 55 to, 20? You got beat by New England, had a bye week, and then got smacked again against Green Bay. They're quitting on this coach. He's just over his head. And yesterday, prime example, that clock management was horseshit. And again, you could point at everything wrong with the Bears and point to one guy. It's the president, Kevin Warren, who I put blame at, Mr. Jagoff, that, let's just cancel the Big Ten season. Why not? Yeah, I got news for you. That ain't happening. Jim Harbaugh said, yeah, it's cute, bro. No, you're not. And that they had the season. And then George McCaskey, you got to grow up, man. Stop running this thing like it's 1900. Do something different. Go put your big boy pants on and go get an elite coach. Because this city deserves it, damn it. And do something. And if you think you found your franchise quarterback, I got my questions. But if you think you found your guy, you go pay it much money, pay $16 million or whatever the hell it's going to cost to get an elite coach and get him in Chicago and get this thing a winner. Because this is a proud franchise. And it's just a shame. And listen, I bang on the Bears all the time. And I really do. But today I feel for Bear fans because your time's going to come where you're going to beat the Packers. And I just don't know when. So that's all I wanted to say here tonight. I'm also recording this Texans in Dallas tonight. Houston got off to a great start, was hitting some big plays down the field, really confusing Dallas's defense, getting them in and out. The communication was kind of off. I'll get my reaction to that game tomorrow night. But like I say every episode, hit the like, subscribe, share button. Stay tuned throughout the week. I got more videos coming. And to talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.